This is the Sports Porch, Black and Gold, with your hosts, the Technical Director, the Grand Schwabini, and Hockey Jesus. Come on, Pittsburgh. Let's show a little Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates love. The Sports Porch Black and Gold starts now. Oh, yeah, here we are in the Sports Porch Black and Gold. It is Monday night. It is 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that means we are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X, and we are also live on Radio PGH, which you can find at radiopgh.com. And I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Mm-hmm. Please, if you're watching on X, if you're watching anywhere else at all, go over to YouTube, subscribe to us at the Sports Porch Podcasts. We would really love that. Our YouTube page is growing. You can catch our shows. You can catch our updates. You can catch Hockey Jesus, who is, by the way, to my right in the studio, down below me on the screen, Hockey Jesus. And across from me, the Grand Schwabini. I am your technical director, and we're going to talk black and gold sports. And I don't know about you guys. We call this the dead zone, and the dead zone is usually the boring time. But this year, for some reason, it doesn't seem like the dead zone is that boring. Does it seem like a little? Now, it's not necessarily exciting from like, the Pirates suck still, right. Basically. The Steelers are still waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. The Penguins didn't make the playoffs and they're still looking for a head coach.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm. But there just seems to be a lot of shit going on, though. If you think about it, I mean, you look at the Pirates, and this, by the way, is a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight. By the way, we're going to talk about the Pirates. They're launching CRUZ missiles, which, by the way, I have a little highlight of that.
3-zip Milwaukee, bottom of the third inning. O'Neill Cruz leads off. Drive to right field. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is gone. There's a CRUZ missile. Wow, that got out of here in no time. A bomb. 122.9 miles an hour.
I was going to say that had to be the hardest ball.
Wow.
There's no doubt that ball had to land 50 feet in the river.
Let's make it 123.
Okay.
For his 11th home run of the season. And one of the most impressive of his career. He had 2 home runs on Friday.
Yeah. Hall of Famer. There you go.
Man.
Solidified it right there.
I'm dying to see where this lands in the river. I mean, that thing,
nope, it's at the bottom
I've never
of the
seen
river.
anything like that before in my life.
They'll pitch it out, though.
Incredible.
They'll make something up.
Everybody in the
that
dugouts.
Was incredible.
Many in the seats.
That was a smack, though, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I
mean, that was a swing. But notice where the ball was. The ball was up.
In my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We had Garrett Jones there yesterday.
Yeah.
And there goes
some well-hit
into
balls
the river.
From Garrett Jones.
You don't even get to see it go into the river.
That is the hardest hit ball in the StatCast era.
Yep, there it is. So
the StatCast era.
Okay, so the Pirates are launching CRUZ missiles.
Going 140.
Does it help? I mean, they're 14 games out of first place, 19-35. They did lose. Was it yesterday or was this game today? No, yesterday.
Yesterday,
they play in Arizona tonight. Look, they do have one of the best starting rotations in the major leagues right now. I mean, you know, and I keep telling people, I keep telling people I work with, Schwaber, they keep saying Bailey Falter's having. I keep saying, look, he's a first half guy. Remember, remember when they got him? Yeah. I told you my Phillies guy says he's a first half guy. He was a first half guy.
That's exactly what happened.
Right. So it's kind of like, yeah, he's looking decent. Okay, he's had some great outings, but let's wait till after the All-Star break. Mitch Keller, he's a first half guy. Yeah. You know, he's a first half guy. Paul Skeens, all right. And Paul Skeens, we'll see this year. I know last week I said, well, they should think about trading him for his sake, and everybody's jumping on that and saying, you can't do that. I know that. I know that. But just because O'Neill Cruz hits the fastest ball off the bat ever in the history of man, does that help? Does it help? here we are talking about meaningless records. So HJ, take it away. Do you have some meaningless records for us? Because that's all this season is about. It's about meaningless records.
I mean, everybody knows the number one meaningless record in Pittsburgh. It's not the exit velocity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ongoing winning streak that Mike Tomlin has.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is a record that is meaningless.
That's right.
Mark, we were talking about one yesterday at the little picnic I had that Chris somehow couldn't make.
Right.
I was working. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's the reason you're going to have a snack tonight. Anyway, go ahead.
Like, I can't think of any record more dumb than just like suiting up and playing a game. Cal Ripken.
Oh, you're funny.
Total,
you guys planned that. You planned that all along.
Total consecutive games played. Like
that was an ambush.
Like, hey, in game number 1033, I went 0 for 4 and committed 2 errors. Hey.
It would be meaningless except for the length of time, except for how many games it really was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could say the same thing about Tomlin.
Well, I would say if Tomlin gets to, let's see, that was for Ripken.
He never has a losing season ever.
For Ripken, that was basically, he finished with 2,632 straight games. Okay. So 2,632 straight games is 16.2 seasons where he got on the field and played baseball. Now,
here's
if you give me 16 seasons without a losing record with Mike Tomlin,
well, he'll be a coach for 16 seasons.
Yeah. Now maybe it starts to mean something. Anyway, you guys totally planned on this barbecue that you went to had nothing to do with a barbecue. This was all about ambushing me.
Well,
that's what this was.
Part of it was planning the ambush.
Yes,
of course. Well, you do realize that like that record's going to stay because nobody even tries for it.
Right.
I mean, it's like we give Bryce Harper days off.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like nobody even tries for it.
So
it's amazing that there was somebody who had one less game than Cal Ripken. Like,
well, I mean, you could say
was that when they weren't trying?
You could say the same thing for Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel's Iron Man,
right?
That meaningless. In fact, you could say it cost them a playoff series. Well, so it's stuff like that.
We'll get to this, Chris.
I think that's kind of, the best ability is availability.
So I mean, this is you know what, you guys weren't even planning a segment for the show. You just wanted to beat the shit out of me. I should have gone to this barbecue.
You were there in spirit.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm never. All right, so meaningless records, with the Pirates. Let's talk about that. I mean,
Well, I can tell you one that isn't meaningless. It's the consecutive seasons without going to a World Series.
Yeah.
That's definitely not meaningless.
No.
I mean, I think when you start talking about exit velocity, and I don't even know all the new generation stats, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think they just make new things up because the game itself can be so boring. They have to make it sound better. Like whip, I'm sure you guys know what whip means. I have no idea.
I don't entirely know. I think it does mean walks, hits, innings pitched.
Yeah, that sounds right. But
why even
have?
But you know what I do with it?
Yeah,
this is what I do. Like, how you can like go to the stats, and if you click at the top, it'll list like from like whatever number to whatever number, and then if you hit it again, it'll reverse it.
Yeah,
I don't know what's good. So like basically I'll click it and I'll be like, oh, Zach Wheeler's up there. So so the good whip is 1.005.
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
Right.
Here it is. Whip is walks plus hits per inning pitched. So your whip is your total walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. So if a pitcher is given up 30 hits and 10 walks over 40 innings, you would calculate their whip by adding 30 hits and 10 walks to get 40, divided by 40, and the whip is 1.
Exactly. Like, why make it so complicated? Here's another one for you.
No.
That's a meaningless statistic, and this is hockey. Speed bursts per game.
Right.
Like
we were talking about that yesterday.
Connor McDavid in yesterday's game had 18 more speed bursts over 22 miles per hour than the next person. Like, okay, he's fast, right? What they're saying is he's fast.
Right.
Just say he's fast.
Yeah, he's really fast. Yeah. He's like at another level.
Like, you don't even have to say it. You can watch the game and understand that he's fast.
So here you go, Schwaber. Excellent whip below 1, very good 1 to 1.2, average 1.2 to 1.35, below average above that.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So basically what they're saying is if you allow 1 or less base runners per inning, you're really good. You know, but they don't count errors. So it's walks and hits. It's actually a simpler statistic than we thought it was. So, but yes, I agree.
But really, isn't the whole thing about ERA?
You're welcome, Mike Lawrence.
Isn't the whole thing really about ERA, though? It's really just about, as a pitcher, you don't want runs to score.
Yeah, but that also takes into account, I actually, whip came about a few years ago before all the analytics went crazy. They've been talking about whip for a long time.
It's been a while.
I think that whip is really a very important statistic, and here's the reason why. Yes, earned run average, we get it. But, earned run average sometimes doesn't have to do completely with the pitcher. He gets a fly ball out, and there's a man on third and the guy tags and there's a close play at the plate and he's safe. Okay. Well, the pitcher did what the pitcher was supposed to do. He was supposed to get an out. But that counts towards his earned run average.
Well, but he could have struck him out.
Well, he could have
grounded out in the infield and the runner not scored.
Right. But at the same time, whip it doesn't count errors. It's walks plus hits. So that's a weakness. If you give up a walk, that's bad. If you give up a hit, that's bad. So they kind of go hand in hand. So that's one that I would kind of pay attention to. It's all the other stuff. It's all the other over analytics of the analytical age.
Launch angle.
Yeah, like who cares?
Yeah, launch angle, right? Another one.
Yeah, launch angle. I mean, they're pushing home runs now anyway.
Right.
Because there's a lack of home run hitters. Gee, why? I wonder why that is. So but really this Pirates issue that we're talking about here, I mean, when you have Andrew McCutchen is leading the team with a 260 batting average, I
think their batting average at one point was like 205.
It was bad at one point.
Yeah, it's 224 now.
It's come up.
Yeah,
Is it still last in the league? It's gotta be close.
Let's see. I don't know.
Colorado is still god awful. I mean,
Mike Lawrence is with us. He says he'll sleep better tonight knowing what whip now means.
Yes, you're welcome, Mike. I said he was welcome earlier.
That's why you come into the porch, so you can sleep better tonight.
Yeah, and then you've got the 26 games scoring 4 runs or under 4 runs. The bottom line is,
I mean, even that's a useless statistic.
It's
fun to make fun of the Pirates like that, but really, who cares? They have a bad record when you're saying something like that.
Yeah. Now here's something interesting. Ke'Bryan Hayes does lead the club with 44 hits. He's batting 234.
Right. The worst. I feel bad for Ke'Bryan Hayes because he actually seems worse because he's batting cleanup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah, because he can't get any RBIs because nobody's on base.
Right. Well, and he's got 1 home run batting cleanup.
Yeah.
Like that, he doesn't deserve to be treated that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, he plays on the Pirates, so he's probably used to it at this point.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, maybe CRUZ should be playing cleanup because he's not really getting on a ton, even though he's got the speed. He's really just swinging for home runs.
Yeah. What is he batting now? Lead off?
I think he's leading off, right?
O'Neal Cruz?
Yeah.
He's leading off.
Switch those 2 guys out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess it would take away from his stolen bases.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, people keep talking about us wasting our starting pitching, but I just want everybody to remember Bailey Falter is a first half pitcher. He's not going to pitch as well after the All-Star break. That's been his career, so we'll see. Mitch Keller kind of has the same issue. Paul Skeen's still 3-5 with a 2.36 ERA, leading the team with strikeouts and ERA.
That's not his fault, though.
It's not his fault. What I'm saying is that we are wasting good starting pitching right now. You look at Mitch Keller is 1-6 1-6. Now he has a 3.66 ERA, which is good. It's not horrible.
decent.
It's
all right.
good.
Yeah, it's probably
okay.
better
Yeah.
than average.
Bailey Falter, 347. He's 3-3. You know, eight quality starts for Skeens each, for Skeens and Keller. And both of them have losing records. I mean, it's still, you know, like I said last week, find a real manager. You know, again, all due respect to Donnie Kelly, who's, I guess this is his chance of a lifetime.
Donzie.
But if you're like anybody, I mean, do you want your chance of a lifetime to be coaching the worst Pirates team you've ever seen? I mean, I guess my question,
probably. I mean, a guy like that probably.
Oh, yeah,
Still,
sure.
it's experience, and then somebody can hire you next.
Yeah.
Say he's got experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the recent, you know, turnaround here, supposedly, of CRUZ coming out of his slump,
it still hasn't equated to very many wins.
No. I mean, has anything changed for you?
No.
Dumb question.
Well, no, actually, yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe now I don't think that, you know, they're going to lose, you know, they're going to lose 140 games.
Really? 140?
No,
is that what you had them pegged in
I mean,
for?
you know, you could say 120. You could easily have said
realistically, you could say,
yeah.
I think you could still say over 100.
Yeah, you could still, but you're not saying it's going to be historically bad.
Yeah.
Like just because all you got to do is hit a little bit
Yeah.
with this pitching.
Yeah.
The
won't
problem
be
is
historic.
what happens when the pitching starts falling apart.
Right.
If the hitting doesn't come along, then they're back exactly to where you're thinking.
Well-
They'll probably get the 120 losses.
Well, and if the pitching does fall apart, but the hitting comes around, now you're still playing 50-50 ball.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's
Yeah,
still
that's
like
true.
if the hitting comes around and now you're scoring 4 to 5 runs a game instead of 3 to 4, you know, you're still in the league average, and maybe the pitching is the ERA jumps from, you know, I think the team ERA is 4, you know, and that includes all the meaningless stats from the relievers that gave up a bunch of runs and
Right.
shit. So, you know, you're still losing more than you're winning. So,
Right.
you know, if the ERA goes up to 5 or 6. So, I mean, right. This year is over.
They're pretty much out of it.
Okay. So let's go here.
14 games back in the NL Central, and
Oh, they're done.
all the other 4 teams are really in it.
They're done.
Mhm.
Marvin's in the house. Marvin, good evening. Thanks for
Hey,
being
Marvin,
here, buddy.
what's up?
Marv.
Listen, let's do you have any more meaningless records or any more shit you want to throw at me that you came up with at this barbecue yesterday, which was really designed to cut off my legs?
I think I hit the highlight ones that I
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
The Tomlin one,
Mhm.
the speed stuff, and certainly the Cal Ripken.
And Cal
record.
Ripken's
My God.
meaningless
Well,
record.
you can throw him Phil Kessel with Cal Ripken.
Yeah.
They're about the same
Yeah.
player.
I'm sorry.
Although I think Phil Kessel has
Listen.
more championships.
Listen, for you guys out there, you know, who are joining us for the first time, or maybe have been watching us for a long time or listening, I'm originally a Baltimore Orioles fan.
He's in love with Cal Ripken.
God bless them. They're worse than the Pirates this year. They haven't been that bad. They're having a really bad year. But Cal Ripken is my hero.
Mhm.
I hold him higher than my own father. And
He's not lying.
That's easy though.
and and these guys go out of their way to try to convince me that his life as a baseball player was basically meaningless.
Not
Anyway,
his life, just his records.
right? Yeah, they are
Yeah.
not meaningless.
Or
Not
one record.
Put
Yeah.
it this way.
Jesus Christ.
Put it this way. That was so important. The baseball was so bad when that happened. That was like the highlight of the year.
Cal
for the
Ripken saved
MLB.
baseball.
Remember
He
that
saved
year?
baseball.
He
Well,
did. That was like
actually-
everybody wanted to watch that game.
In all seriousness,
That's how terrible baseball was.
in all
back then.
seriousness though, you know what I did think was stupid though? That they basically, like, I think they went to him, either he went to them or they went to him and they said, hey, let's stop it now and let's celebrate it. Like, why? He should have just kept going as long as he could have.
Well, when
could've,
he
yeah.
played, they didn't stop it after after he broke the record. He played for another like 50 or 60 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually one day he was in a slump,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to the manager and said, just rest me. You know,
Mhm.
this whole thing is done. Give these young guys a chance to play. I'm going to take a day. So
Mhm.
he was a stand-up guy. And the other thing is the game before, the game where he tied it and the game that he broke it, he crushed home runs.
Did he? That's nice.
Yes. So
he had a flair for the dramatic.
Absolutely. And
in a meaningless way.
That's right. In a meaningless way, you motherfuckers. Anyway.
Well, and he didn't take steroids either.
And
that's true. He has that going,
which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't need steroids to stay in a game.
Right. Right.
Which is good.
That one's actually more appropriate, right?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. I don't even remember where we were going with this.
We were probably going to move off baseball finally.
I don't know. Here's what I was going to say.
I tried.
The Pirates are look, we got a large contingent of fans who are watching and listening who are baseball fans. So
I get it.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this. The Pirates, let's talk about this now because we know it's coming. We know it's coming. The trade deadline is coming.
That's a good point.
Who are they trading?
I got to be completely honest with you. I don't really know that they have really great trade pieces right now.
No,
they don't. But who would somebody want?
Maybe Brian Reynolds. They'll figure, have a better second half.
Yeah. And wait, Reynolds is the guy with the big contract too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
$88 million.
They trade him in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about Mitch Keller? Mitch Keller is they're starting pitching. Teams need starting pitching. There was a rumor about Mitch Keller to the Orioles going around because the Orioles, they have a great lineup, but their pitching has been abysmal. So, you take a guy like Mitch Keller and put him in the Orioles lineup, look what he's able to do pitching for the Pirates.
I don't know. The Pirates just signed him to a 5-year extension.
I know.
If we're doing that,
it was a big contract for them.
I guess the first question is, and I think this is where we all stumble, is are the Pirates committed to winning? If they were, I don't think you trade Mitch Keller.
Right.
But if you're not, well, then you probably do.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say because, I believe Nutting doesn't care about anything fan related.
Mm-hmm.
But if he trades both of the biggest contracts that he has away,
mm-hmm.
I just think there's going to be extra blowback. And there have been more people this year than ever before. We've been on this bandwagon for a few years, if not longer. And but I think there could be additional blowback because it would clearly be obvious that he cares nothing except money.
Right.
And we know that. But I just wonder if he does actually care a little bit. Like if his heart's this big, not this big.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the only that would be the only thing that I would say maybe they might keep one of those two guys.
Well, I think the problem here is they're stuck. They're really stuck. They've got the aforementioned generational player in Paul Skeens.
Right.
They've got a good number 3 starter in Mitch Keller. And to be realistic, listen, Pirates fans, Bailey Falter isn't your long-term solution. Neither is Andrew Haney. But you've got the makings of a decent starting rotation with those two pitchers. Jared Jones now is out of the picture.
Yeah, he's out of the picture this year, probably most of the next year.
And unfortunately, I think his career is going to be completely different because
they're probably not going to bring up Bubba Chandler this year, which makes sense not to.
Right.
But they'll have him next year.
But do we know how is he going to perform at the major league level? We don't know.
No, you never know. But I mean, he's their number 1 prospect pitcher. So,
but what are they going to
bring him up at some point?
I agree. What are they going to do in order? And Marvin says he doesn't care. It's all about the Benjamins. Yeah, of course.
We're with you there, Marvin.
Absolutely. But they're stuck. I mean, you've got a GM who everybody wants fired now that Shelton's gone. You just don't know how much leeway he had or didn't have to make baseball moves. I can't imagine that Ben Cherington was making these moves I can't imagine he's sitting in his office late at night by himself with Paul Skeens on that roster saying, what in the hell would you just let me open the checkbook? I mean, I don't think he's as bad as people say he is. I don't like him. But I think he's completely restricted.
Oh yeah.
Completely restricted.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so what do they do at the end of the year when they're clearly out of it? You can make a case right now that they're not clearly out of it, but they pretty much have to be the best team in baseball to even make the playoffs from here on out.
That's not going to happen.
And that's not going to happen.
Well, I think what the GM wants to do is just try and keep things the same, so that next year, that maybe in the offseason, somebody will get the memo that we need to get a couple hitters, and then you bring up Bubba Chandler, and maybe your pitching's even better. But that's a GM speaking. You're right. He has to be handcuffed by the owner, and the owner probably says no every time he says that. Right. Like, I think we can make this team into a 80-win team if we do this and that.
Yeah.
And the owner probably just says, no, it's just not.
Well, the first thing the owner says is, how much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
And Cherington goes,
and he says money, then he says no.
If he said,
he doesn't even hear the number.
Right. Yeah. If he said T-shirts, he'd say go for it. Right. Yeah. I mean, so I think and Pat off tracks back in the house. He wants Skeens. He'll give the Liberty Bell, the Betsy Ross Bridge, and our 36th Street apartment. We don't own that place.
That's actually a good deal.
I think it is a good deal. Yeah. For us.
I mean, you're probably getting like $2,200 for that apartment every month.
Yeah.
Well, there is no such thing as Betsy Ross Bridge.
Yeah, that's
the Ben
true.
Franklin.
Yeah,
Bridge.
it is the Ben Franklin Bridge.
Yes.
I like the idea of changing it to the Betsy Ross Bridge.
He wants to sell us a bridge. Yeah. We got a bridge.
I got a bridge down in Florida I can sell you, Pat.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't even know. I guess that's my point about this whole thing is, like, what kind of moves do they make at the trade deadline? Teams are going to be calling. Okay. Teams are going to call about Skeens. It's just natural. They're going to call about Skeens. They're going to call about Cruz. They're going to call about Reynolds. They're going to call about possibly a lot of guys in the lineup, whether it's as a defensive replacement. They might call about Henry Davis. He's a decent defensive catcher. They're definitely going to call about Mitch Keller. They may call about Bailey Falter.
The shortstop's got a decent average, right?
Right. I mean, so what Adam Frazier? So what's he playing? Second base, right? And is it Canario playing short?
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I guess there's going to be calls, and there's going to be a move. It's just like what move is it going to be?
I don't know.
It's not going to be Skeens.
I think the GM wants to get past the draft because everybody says he's going to be out after that anyway. So he may not even be thinking about moves at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. He may be thinking about just getting out.
Yeah. Or am I going to have a job after the draft?
Yeah. Well, and he's probably not going to have a job after the draft. And why let him draft?
When is the draft?
I don't know. It's like it's always in June sometime. I just can't remember the actual date.
Yeah, but why have him draft if he's not gonna be around?
Well, because he's garbage drafting, and except for Skeens, right?
Garbage. Well, and that was they didn't take a rocket scientist to draft Paul Skeens,
right?
Marvin's saying the Pirates
July 13th
are the Raiders of baseball. It's where careers go to die. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, what's funny is, like, we talk about the Jets, like that's where quarterbacks go to die, it's true. But I don't know that the Pirates are where careers go to die. I think the Pirates
are where careers never get started.
And also
I'd say the launching angle for careers at PNC Park is zero.
The launch angle,
0 degrees.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, you look at guys like Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole had an angle of like almost 90.
Yeah,
and then he started to pitch for the Pirates, and then it went to like 75, and then he got traded. Then it went back up to 90.
Okay. So he got out when he needed to, but
it started to come down to zero.
Yeah.
It was approaching zero, but it didn't quite make it there because they got rid of it.
The Pirates are the scrap heap of baseball, is what they are. The Tommy Phams of the world, the Spencer Horwitzes.
They're not even the minor league of baseball anymore. It's just an ongoing joke.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching, drop a comment. How do you feel about the Pirates right now?
I can't even get upset anymore about them. I want to. I want to have some passion about this, but I just can't.
I want to have passion about it too. So it's even hard to get angry like I did the last month. It's hard to get angry. It's like I'm wondering what shoe's going to drop next.
What?
And I'm actually hoping that they do something stupid again. Because they're not going to win.
Speaking of doing stupid things, I did something really stupid the other day.
Oh, good.
I went down a rabbit hole, and I don't know why I did this. I started watching like old videos of old games.
Oh, goody.
And I happened to come across the 1992 NLCS.
Oh, no.
Right. And I was like, do I really want to watch this? Do I really want to watch this? Because I was doing some things where I was like, I need to know all the players here. Like, I knew Belinda was pitching, and I was like, who's catching? I was like, oh, that's right, it was Lavalier. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to watch it. And I forgot that David Justice was on third base, and Sid Bream was on second.
Right.
And, of course, Barry Bonds was in the outfield. The pitch before he hit the single, he almost hit a home run.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
It went foul. Like he had it all, and he just hit it. He just pulled it too far, and it would have been a home run. And that would have been it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, they dodged a bullet there. Because I can remember thinking this.
Yeah.
And then the very next pitch, he slaps that into the outfield. I had to. I couldn't watch the ending. I couldn't watch the ending.
Did you put your head down on the bar again?
No,
like you did.
No, but watching it, but watching it again really brought back some bad emotions.
Really,
it really did. I didn't watch the ending. Like after he hit it into the outfield,
you were like, click,
and I saw Bonds get it. And literally, Sid Bream's not even rounding third yet. I'm like, I can't watch. I can't watch.
How did Bonds not throw him out? He'd never had a good arm, really?
No, he had a good arm. He was
really good.
He was one of the better. Yeah, he like led the league in assists a few years.
Yeah.
He was really that good.
And the ball was hit pretty hard too. It wasn't like it was just.
What did he do? Did he bounce it a couple times?
I don't know.
You know what? I turned it off before he grabbed it. But I think what happened was he took a couple steps and then he threw it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like he felt so confident he had enough time. He took his time to get a good throw at home, and I think he just took a little bit too much time.
Bream barely beat it out.
He barely beat it out.
Yeah, it wasn't a bang play, but it was close enough.
Yeah.
It was close enough. And that's why people got mad at Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
For years, people were upset at Bonds because they're like, he lollygagged on that fly ball.
That was one of the reasons they kept Van Slyke instead of him.
Right, exactly.
Which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because we all know what he went to do in San Francisco. Right. Minus the steroids, he still would have been great.
Right.
All right. Subscribe to the Sports Porch Black and Gold on YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast. And you can listen to the podcast if you want to catch up with us in the car at any time. You can listen to us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. We're live every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern time on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Okay, guys, I saw this story. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah,
drops a big hint. I'm gonna try to share it up here. I love this cat and mouse game. That he
loves it too.
That he's working on.
He loves it.
Let me see if I can pull it up here. Aaron.
He was
Rodgers.
In Chicago.
He was in Chicago.
Yep. Here you go. So, during an interview on the YNK podcast with Mike Stud, which probably should have been.
What a great name.
Should have been my name. Yeah. Rodgers was asked by a young NFL fan if he would consider playing for the Chicago Bears, and he offered an interesting answer saying, no, but I believe there's a team that might play in Chicago this year for a road trip. And the 41-year-old was then asked if he would name the team. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going to check it out, he said with a smirk on his face.
Meanwhile, Chris Chada brought up the story of the day, which is Kirk Cousins. Could he be on the radar now?
Right.
Chris, thanks for being on the spot.
Yeah, there you go.
Our sources Chris Chada.
Yeah. So Steve and I went to a Phillies game at the vet. Andy Van Slyke complained that the cancer risk with with Dykstra's tobacco spit. I don't know, man. I don't think who would you want more if you had to? You have to. Cousins or Rodgers? You have to. Which one?
Rodgers. I don't think Cousins can even move anymore.
I would take Cousins.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he just seemed like he was so immobile.
But he's young. He's younger though.
Yeah,
he is younger.
He was only 1 year removed from his injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or coming right off.
He's younger.
So you think maybe his injury has healed him and he's a little bit better?
Well, they're saying the same thing about Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean that's the way I feel about Rodgers too. But
You know me.
I'm going to stick with Rodgers.
You know me. I was a Cousins homer for a long time.
Yeah, that's true. I liked him. I mean, I just
think the chances that Rodgers are done at 41 is much greater than Cousins playing at like 38.
Man, he was so bad last year.
Yeah.
He wasn't really that bad. I mean, they were like bad. They were like 500, so they replaced him. But I mean, like terrible.
No, near the.
Well, they had a replacement. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, but I think near the time that when they did decide to replace him, he had gone through a really horrible stretch.
Did he?
Yeah, he looked really bad. And Mike says Cousins instead of the old drama guy. I mean, look.
I'm not going to. It doesn't matter to me. It's like 1A, 1B.
Well, if you're asking me who the more talented quarterback is, I'm going to say Rodgers.
I guess that's where I'm going.
Right. But if you're asking me about who's more dedicated to the football team they play for, it's going to be Cousins.
Yeah, I think Cousins would be a better locker guy for sure.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to worry about being on a podcast with Joe Rogan for 3 hours.
Yeah, and saying weird shit that nobody can really understand. You know, like was that an insult? You know, to the Steelers or not? No, you know, Cousins is going to be. But I don't.
It just goes to show you how terrible the Steelers are with their quarterback.
Here we go again.
It's just it just highlights the point that we have to talk about Rodgers and Cousins.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Cousins still threw in 14 games.
He played 14 games last year.
Well, I think some of them he played half because it says that Penix played 5.
Okay.
So I guess he probably played 9 games, would you think? Or maybe he
probably played 10 or 11.
Yeah. Well, he still threw for 3,500 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but it was 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions.
Which, look, it wasn't upside down at least.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So here's something you're going to hear first. Okay, and this is something that I'm going out on a limb, but I want to know what you guys think about this. Because this is what I think. I think that the Steelers, how many draft picks do they have next year? 11?
They have a lot. Yeah.
It's like 11.
I don't know if they have 11 next year. I can look it up.
Yeah.
But I think they have like 8 or 10.
Let's look it up. I got it. You got it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's assign this a number. The Steelers have a ton of draft picks next year. And the NFL draft is in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And they have a quarterback problem.
Mm-hmm.
How many do they have?
They didn't get there yet.
Okay. Really? Are you still learning how to use your computer and the screen?
It's up a little high, you know.
Yeah.
I had to fix the seat, so let's not go.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So
2026, they have, here's the number. 12 draft picks.
Okay, so I was right.
Yeah, 12.
I was close to right. 12 draft picks. Now, does that include
the Pickens one?
Does that include compensatory picks?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they have 12 draft picks next year. The draft is in Pittsburgh. They need a quarterback. My feeling is that the Steelers come hell or high water. Now, if they finish 3-14, well, they probably are going to get the number 1 or number 2 pick. If they finish the classic 9-8 or 10-7, they're going to be in the 20s. I think they are trying to guarantee themselves the number 1 pick next year, and that they're already reaching out to teams who they think may be down near the bottom, because as a GM in a franchise, you know, if you've got a competitive team, a great team, or you're totally rebuilding. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're not going to come out publicly and say that, but you know, I think they're going to trade up for the number 1 pick no matter what, because that's the Steeler thing to do. That's Pittsburgh. The draft is here for the first time. 700,000, give or take a couple 100,000 people are going to flock to this city. It's clearly, probably in the modern era, the biggest event to ever happen in this city that isn't a disaster. And you are the home franchise for this event. You need a quarterback. You are going to ensure that you're going to get the number 1 pick. What do you think? I'm ready to guarantee it. I'm ready to say they're going to trade no matter what they need to trade to get the number one pick. They're going to Mike get Ditka this because they want the best college quarterback, because they want their next Ben Roethlisberger. And listen, if you're going to take a chance, you might as well take a chance next year when you draft him here, because if you lose, well, everybody loses. It's 50-50 shot. But if you win, it's history. What do you think?
I think you're completely wrong.
I knew you would.
First of all, there's zero chance that they are anticipating a losing season. They are trying to win, and they are even trying to win if it's just Mason Rudolph.
But remember what I said.
Sure.
That's why they have so many picks, because if they have a winning season versus a losing, it doesn't matter.
Well, here's the thing. Now, we don't know who's going to turn out to be the number one quarterback pick, but let's just say it's Archie Manning.
Yep.
Okay. Let's just say it's him. They're not the team that's picking number one is not going to give up. They're not going to take on 6 draft picks and 2 players to give you Archie Manning. They're not.
You don't think?
No, they're going to look at it as he's our franchise quarterback.
Maybe.
So it's not going to happen. I mean, could they do something like if they had like maybe the number 12 pick, could they give up like this year's 1 and, next year's 1 and this year's 2 and maybe next year's 5 and get a 6 back to go from like 12 to 4 to get like the second best quarterback in the draft? Yeah, they could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what it would take. I mean, nobody's ever going to do the Mike Ditka, Ricky Williams, we'll trade your whole draft again.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to trade the whole draft.
It didn't work out too well.
No, it didn't work out too well for him. But I disagree. What if the team that has the number one pick already has who they consider to be their franchise quarterback? They just had a bad year.
Well,
pretty unlikely.
We kind of discussed this. We think it's probably either going to be the New Orleans Saints or the New York Football Giants,
right,
with the number one pick.
Right.
So the Saints definitely need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Because theirs just retired. And the Giants just took somebody this year. So in Jackson Dart. So
if they're the worst team, then he was horrible.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably well, I don't know if he's going to start because they have Russell Wilson.
They do have Russ, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're the worst team and he didn't start or didn't really play,
somebody,
then they have somebody. Right. I don't think it's outside. I don't think. Now, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that I think this is the discussion happening in the back rooms at the Steelers. They're saying here's our strategy. We should get the number one pick next year in Pittsburgh. Let's put some icing on the cake here. The draft is here. We are the most relevant. They're going to be the most relevant business, tourist attraction, money generator in the history of this city next year. For all the people coming in. You realize this city never hit 1 million in population, even at its height. It was at like 650,000. So this draft is literally going to bring in an estimated more people than the population of this town at the height of its popularity. It's going to triple the size of this town. So the Steelers want to make a splash. That's why I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying they're going to find a partner for it, because you're right. You're right. Yeah. If it's the Saints, they're going to be like, screw you. Arch Manning is incredible, or whoever it is that's going to be number one. We're taking him, but with 12 picks, that's a lot of draft capital. That's a lot of draft capital to make sure you move up to get that guy. That's what I think.
I don't know.
No.
I think it's a dumb idea, and I just don't.
It's a lot harder than you think.
The Steelers have never done that before in the history of their franchise.
Of course not.
And they have an owner who likes to do things that have only been done in the past. Right. That would be seen as something different, and he just doesn't think that way. That's my point.
Yeah,
my point is he doesn't think that way. So him thinking that way now just doesn't make sense.
Let me put it to you this way. This, in my mind, is what is more likely to happen.
Okay.
The quarterback that they picked in the 6th round, what's his name again? Will Howard?
Yep. That's him.
Okay. Yep. What I think is more likely to happen is whether it's Rodgers or Cousins or Rudolph that starts. Okay. They get hurt. Eventually, the next guy gets hurt, and Will Howard comes in and he's got to play the last 6 games. Okay,
All right,
and he goes 3-3, and that gets you to 9-8, and he looks pretty good,
Right.
And so next year you've got the the 19th pick, and you're thinking, well, we got a real good chance to, for Will Howard to be the guy. He really showed signs.
Let's just go get him a wide receiver.
Let's go get him a wide receiver. Let's move up from 19 to 9
and get the number one wide receiver.
The number one wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what's going to happen.
I think that if
that would excite the fans.
Mhm.
I think
that fits the DNA.
Mhm.
I agree with you guys 100%. I just think there's one variable here, and that is I think if the draft were anywhere else, I think if the draft were in fucking Uniontown, it would be the same.
You want to talk about tripling the population?
You're basically talking about fantasy.
I understand that, but it's a fantasy for a team like the Steelers to have the draft here. Well, right, but to have the draft here.
That's happening. That's reality.
It's reality now, but the chances of it happening again in the next 30 years are pretty much 0.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got one shot. And look, without getting into the politics of it all, this fucking city needs a shot. Okay. It is not in good shape from an economic standpoint, from a structural standpoint, from a political standpoint.
Hey, we had more people come into the city last year than leave.
Yeah.
1,500 more.
Right. And let me tell you about all the people that I talk about. 1,500 more. Right. And that's only because 1,500 extra people probably died. So
didn't die.
Or didn't die. Thank you. What I'm saying is everything you guys are saying is 100% correct, except for that one variable. The draft is in this town. It's the biggest moneymaker and the biggest and highest profile event this city has seen in our lifetimes, and probably in the last 70 to 80 years.
Let me tell you this. So I don't know the actual
70 or 80 years. No,
I don't know the actual.
Name a bigger one. Bigger draw.
Any Super Bowl parade, any Stanley Cup parade.
The Super Bowl parade was one afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
One afternoon.
This is only one evening.
No, you're talking about a week where there will be 500 to 700,000.
But the biggest event happens in one night.
But it does. But you're talking about that one afternoon did not in comparison will not have brought in a tenth of the revenue that this week will.
You're right with the revenue, but the amount of fans that were downtown, I can tell you,
you're talking about
ginormous.
Right, talking about Steelers fans
but
only.
You're just saying that this is a little bit more extended. But
this is on an international stage.
Those events were absolutely ginormous.
Of course they were, but this is on an international stage. And anyway, you were going somewhere.
I would be willing to bet if we looked back at the previous drafts, and they only really started switching, the location maybe about like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, maybe tops, right?
Yeah.
I would be guessing that no team hosting made a huge splash.
Maybe not. I don't know. Finally you come up with a good counterpoint.
Well, I mean, Green Bay for the first time in forever did draft a wide receiver.
There you go.
So they made a splash, a small splash.
And they didn't need a quarterback. They didn't need a number 1 pick. They have Jordan Love. Did you see that comment by Pat Off Track?
Mm-hmm.
Will Howard is sleeping on the Divas couch. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. I didn't see anybody sleeping.
What does that mean?
I don't know what that means. Maybe it means that you ought to watch out, Klein, because Will Howard might be coming for your wife, and he's better looking, physically more fit, and and let's face it, he's a winner.
Yeah.
Just won the national championship.
I don't think Pat's off track there.
Yeah, you're coming up with really good arguments tonight. Thanks.
Yep,
that and Cal
off track.
That and Cal Ripken's meaningless records. Okay,
well,
so
we're definitely full of it tonight. Let's just say that.
Yeah, let's go with a little bit more football here before we get on to HJ, our snack, and what we're watching.
That's okay. I put on the game, so you can talk about whatever.
Okay, Hard Knocks is coming to in season to the NFC East. Everybody who catches up with us every week, thank you for being here on the Sports Porch Black and Gold, at the Sports Porch Podcast on YouTube, and at Sports Porch 1 on X. Of course, the podcast. They know that the Grant Schwabini here he's an Eagles fan.
Amy's looking out for you there.
Yeah, look, Amy, I'm used to it. Trust me. It rolls right off me. And I can dish it as well. The Grant Schwabini is a big Eagles fan. We do a Philadelphia show. I am a closet Commanders fan. I still haven't come all the way back yet. But Hard Knocks in season with the NFC East. It was the AFC North last year. In season, I thought was horrible.
It was horrible.
I'm not looking forward to this. I don't think I'm going to watch it.
It started out okay, but it went down very quickly.
Yeah, I think the first episode was decent, and then it was bad from there on. Are you excited about it just because you're going to get maybe a look inside the Eagles at all?
No, because I to be honest, I mean, I follow everything about the team, like everybody who reports on the team, everybody who's in the locker room. I feel like I actually pretty much know everything that's going on.
Right.
And based on what I saw from, the AFC North last year,
right.
I don't think that anything is going to really be added to what I already know. In fact, I think it's just going to be very vanilla.
I agree.
Yeah. So no, I actually think it's actually more a waste of time, and it's probably more annoyance for the teams than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, my take is the NFL wants to do this, so the teams have no choice in this.
Right.
So the bottom line to that is they have to do it.
Right.
So the question is, how do you control it so that it makes it entertaining enough so people still want to watch it, but you're not giving away, you're not making teams look bad.
Right.
And I think that's the problem now. When they first started this, they didn't care about making teams look bad. They just said, we're just gonna play whatever you say.
Right.
So don't say stupid things. But guess what? They don't know how not to say stupid things when you're terrible at it. Right.
Right.
So, and let's face it, that is what gives you the clicks when somebody says something really dumb. If you take that away, what's the point in it?
Yeah,
there is no point in it. You're not going to learn anything new. All these insiders who don't want to report on things aren't reporting those things because they know how bad it would make the team look. And it just seems stupid for the NFL to try and perpetuate something that's no longer entertainment.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I will watch the first episode because I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a shot
if they make any changes.
Right.
Like, let's see if they, maybe this year, because there's got to be somebody sitting around, after last year going, guys, we got to make this more compelling. I can't see anybody high-fiving each other over the results from this, although people are blind.
I think the only thing I would watch it for is to see what the NFL, what narrative they're trying to push. Like, are they going to feature Daniels a lot, or are they going to feature Lurie some or something like that? Or are they going to focus on I don't know,
the new coach in Dallas?
What are they going to focus on?
It's just
if you think about it, it's what the NFL wants you to think. That's what these programs.
When I say it's going to be vanilla, it's going to be something. It's going to be something like this. With 3 weeks left in the season, the Dallas Cowboys are staring elimination in the face. Dak Prescott is the man to lead them on this charge. But will CeeDee Lamb be okay? His hamstring's been acting up.
I'm already bored.
It's like that. That's
I'm already bored.
Yeah. That's what it's going to be.
I just thought of something. This would be the second year in a row George Pickens will be on it.
Right.
Maybe that's what it is. We're just going to follow George Pickens around as he gets traded over and over and over again.
People are saying Pickens is going to have a good year down in Big D.
We'll see. We shall see.
I've heard a couple people say that. Not that I care because he's playing for Dallas now.
the NFL has officially put the rest for this year, at least, whether or not the tush push is still legal. And I got to tell you, the marketing expertise of the Philadelphia Eagles is on full display here. I think it's ridiculous that they are able to capitalize on this. I mean, kudos to them. Congratulations. It's a marketing bonanza for the Eagles. I mean, think about the merchandise that they're going to be able to sell because of this. But doesn't the tush push, doesn't the tush push belong to everybody? They can, if you're an NFL team, you can use it,
but only one team does.
The Bills, they've tried it.
The Bills had run their tight end in and were pretty successful with it.
Yeah.
So they started doing it.
And they've got the quarterback for it.
And the quarterback,
That's true.
But unfortunately, what happened for them was when they tried to tush push with just Josh Allen on that final play, he didn't make it.
Yeah.
If he had made it, they probably would have been like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had a lot of guys down at work talk to me because they know about our show, and they're asking me what do you think? I can seriously say that I never had an opinion about the tush push because I never saw it as a problem. I just, when a team would play against the Eagles, like when the Commanders would play against the Eagles and I wanted the Commanders to win in the NFC Championship game, I didn't like the play because I knew it was probably going to work, but I didn't see the result as, oh, they're cheating again. This needs to be banned. And we were mentioning on the Philly show, Dan Campbell basically says, the coach of the Lions, it's another play, we'll play on, we're either going to learn how to stop it or we're not. I think it's fine. I feel like you have a different
I do.
opinion. I know.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Only because it's the only play that you see in the NFL where somebody who has the ball is getting assist from another person on the line. Directly assisted. I mean, they literally push the person with the ball forward. It's one or two persons pushing another person forward. You don't see that play anywhere else. It's only with this play. So I'm thinking to myself, well, how else could you use this play then to your advantage? Like, could you give it to the fullback?
That's not not entirely true.
Okay, just hold your thought for a second.
I'll hold up.
Could you give it to the fullback and have the running back follow the fullback into the hole and just jam him up in there so he gets 2 or 3 yards every time?
Yeah,
like you could do that. Why not do it that way?
Why not?
And the other thing I think is stupid for the NFL is you can push somebody, but you can't pull somebody. It's like just have them be able to do both. Then it to me, you ban the pulling. Why wouldn't you ban the pushing? Like it doesn't make any sense to have one way and the other the opposite way. The one's illegal, but the other is perfectly okay.
Yeah, and we addressed this on the previous show where I said you should be allowed to pull.
But I
agree with that.
Do I care that it didn't get banned? No, I don't care. Okay. It doesn't matter. I think the Eagles do it very well. I just think it's a weird play.
Okay.
Well, the thing I was going to say is I feel like it does happen once or twice a game, in the middle of either a running play or a receiving play. There's
that's true.
When the running back, kind of keeps the legs moving, and then the offense and the offensive lineman push them. They keep going forward.
You do see that.
It does happen. Yeah.
So yeah, but here's the thing that I thought was just odd to me was the reaction of Rooney. So Rooney, he came out and he made some interesting statements. He said he thought it was really a good thing that Jason Kelce came and talked about the play. And he said that, from what Jason Kelce said, it made him think differently about the play, that it wasn't a safety issue. And
nobody's ever got injured on
nobody's ever gotten injured on it, and how much they practice the play and things of that sort. But then he still voted against it. And I was just kind of like, well, is he just voting? Right. Is he just voting against it because that's what the commissioner wants? And so it's, well, hey, why cross the commissioner when this isn't my battle to fight anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I thought it was a little bit a little bit weak. You know, I was just kind of thinking like, you know, if it was his father and his father was, really took something from the discussion, would his father have changed his mind and said, you know what, it's a football play. It's smash mouth football, and that's what the Steelers are all about. You know?
Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't seem like the right response.
Right.
Boy, that was really compelling. That really made me think, but I voted against it.
Right. Right.
Were you really
at least Jerry Jones was honest. Jerry Jones said, he goes, to be honest, he's like, I go back and forth between, thinking that, yeah, it's a football play and it shouldn't be eliminated versus, do I want the Eagles to have an advantage over it?
Yeah, especially
that's the thing.
One at the 50-yard line.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the thing for me. When they say that, and that's why the Eagles marketing department, that's why it's a media bonanza for them. Because when they say when Jerry Jones says that, he's basically saying that the Eagles are he's almost saying the Eagles are the only team allowed to run this, because nobody else is going to run it. And it's like, look, man, but cowboy up, as the Red Sox said.
Yeah.
Cowboy up, run it yourself. Study the film, see who they put in there, teach your guys how to do it. The NFL has shown that the injury rate is practically zero. So it's not like you're putting guys at risk any more than you are in any other play down the field.
What's actually kind of interesting is, and I don't know to what extent this is right or wrong, but I know that the Eagles actually spoke to that they feel that the tush push is actually a less dangerous play than the regular quarterback sneak.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Because what they say is that, and that's what Kelsey said too, is that on a regular quarterback sneak, the quarterback usually ends up on the bottom of the pile, where you get kicked and punched and all that kind of stuff, and your leg torn back.
Right.
He said, whereas with the tush push, if you notice, they really pretty much like get pushed over everybody.
Yeah.
So it's actually like more, at least they're saying it's more safe for the quarterback.
Well, listen, whether it is or it isn't, the injury rate itself shows that it's no more dangerous than any other play they run. So it's a moot point.
If I wanted to get it out of the game though, and I was against it, I would tell my defensive lineman to hurt somebody when that happened.
Yeah.
Like grab him by the balls or twist his ankle so that somebody gets hurt. Because once that happens, they'll get rid of it.
Probably.
Well, you never know. That could be on the drawing board. You might have lit the fire right now.
That's what I would tell my defensive lineman to do. Nobody can see what you're doing underneath there. Grab him by the balls, punch him, grab him by the face mask, and pull him down so that the linebacker can come and demolish the quarterback.
All right, Yoho's son is saying, how about 55+ yard field goals count for 4, so Pittsburgh will have a chance this year without a QB? Hey, listen, man, if you want that,
son, you need to get that to the rules committee stat.
Yeah, that would help them.
Or you could just play fantasy football in our fantasy football league,
you
where
would get
people
5
where it counts as 10 points.
Yeah. We got to talk to our rules committee. Yeah, we used to have 11-point field goals in our thing. It was like,
no, it only ever went to 10.
Bullshit. There were 11. There was 11.
Okay.
I'm just telling you right now.
I'm sure you were the commissioner. And you remember.
I'm never going to be the commissioner. Trust me.
We know.
Okay, to my right, I have.
Oh wait, are we going to eat today?
Yes, but I have to intro you because I have to go get the snack. So you can do your hockey Jesus thing, and then we're gonna have our snack. So we just play along, play nice. I know you're,
I'm getting cranky.
If I can go 2 days without smoking a cigar, you can go a little while without a snack.
Whoa, 2 days.
Yeah, dude, it's killing me.
Wow,
it's absolutely killing.
Able to sit there.
It's really, really hard. I'm thinking about smoking one of my wife's cigarettes. That's how bad it is.
That is bad.
To my right in the to my right in the studio is Hockey Jesus. Hockey Jesus preaches on the podcast after every Pens game and throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. He dropped one earlier today at the Sports Porch podcast on YouTube and the Sports Porch podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Hockey Jesus is the premier, what would I call you? The premier
hockey guru,
hockey aficionado.
There you go. Is our premier hockey aficionado. and he's going to talk NHL playoffs right now. Maybe, I don't know if there's any updates on the Penguins coaching situation. I don't think there are.
There isn't.
So,
the one thing we can note about the coaching position is that the IIHF tournament is now over, so that means Kyle Dubas will be back in Pittsburgh.
So maybe we'll see.
So supposedly he had been taking Zoom calls and stuff like that, and been interviewing people on the fly.
Well, you guys, I'm going to go rustle up our snack. You guys, Hockey Jesus, take the sermon away.
Now here's 2 lines of thought, Steve. I want to know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Line of thought number 1, when you take a long time to hire a coach, is...
Well, what do you consider a long time? More than a couple weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then it has been a very long time.
Yes. Line of thought number 1 is you want to take your time. You want to do your due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you're making the right hire.
Right.
Option 2 is you don't know what the hell you want.
That's true. But I believe they know what they want, but I think there are a lot of what he wants out there.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I think there are some young coaches out there who are kind of under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
That guy in Denver aside, since he got signed, I think he probably was the number one choice. So because he got hired and wanted to stay in Denver, I think it's like, so I think it's like, okay, who are the next 3 guys? And I think that's what he's kind of, trying to decide. The thing that he has to do quickly is, especially now that Toronto's got a new GM, he's got to figure out, what's going to happen.
And pretty soon Carolina could be out and Rod Brind'Amour could become available.
Possibly. Carolina's going to be out soon. It's still 0-0 on the first right now. But I don't know. I think Brind'Amour is going to be safe in Carolina another season, even though this will be the 4th Eastern Conference final in a row that he hasn't won a game. I still think he's safe. So I think the coaching situation isn't bad, but I really do believe that they need to make a move before the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'll be happy with whatever they decide, honestly, unless they hire like a veteran coach that like a Laviolette or somebody like that. I'll be like, what? That makes no sense. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't really have a lot of insight into that right now, but I still think that guy, the assistant coach from Washington, Rich, I think he's still the number one. I think he's number 1 on the list right now, but I think he wants to just cross off the other 2 guys that are behind him just to make sure he's not missing something. And as far as the IIHF tournament goes, Canada actually got lost in the semis, so they didn't even get to play in the finals. But the United States did, and they won the IIHF the first time they've won that tournament in 92 years. And you can thank Tage Thompson for that. Thanks, Pat, for giving us Tage Thompson to bring home the gold. Hopefully, he won't be in Buffalo much longer, and we'll get to see his talents more. But as far as the hockey tournament goes, look, Carolina's done. They're down 3-0 to Florida. Florida just said, you're not good. And I think there's a lot of things that gave Florida some spark to want to really just take it to Carolina. One is the last time they played, Brind'Amour said, and even though they lost 4 in a row, Brind'Amour said, we didn't get swept. Come on. You got lost 4-0. You got swept. Right. And the reason he said that was because I think they lost every game by 1, and 2 of the games were like in double overtime and triple overtime. Gotcha. So that's why he said it, but it's a dumb thing to say because Florida has very long memories, and they still have memories of just all the fighting that's been going on between Florida and Carolina. They just don't think that Carolina is a talented team, and they just want to smoke them. And let's face it, Florida's a more talented team anyways when it comes down to it. So that's going to be over. Maybe over tonight. If it's over tonight, don't expect Florida to touch the trophy because when they do touch the trophy, they don't win the Stanley Cup. So they're not going to touch the Eastern Conference trophy. It used to be called the Prince of Wales Trophy. I don't even know what they call it now. Probably it's just the Eastern Conference Championship.
Remember trophy. The Patrick Division?
Patrick Division. That was before Prince. That was after the Prince of Wales. Yeah. Anyway, so that series is pretty much over. All Florida's got to do is win tonight. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Doesn't matter. They're going to win one of the next 4 for sure. As far as the Western Conference go, that's actually a little bit more competitive. Although Dallas won the first game, and then Edmonton stormed back to win the next two. I don't know. I think McDavid's got it going on. I just feel like once Edmonton gets going, I don't think they're going to be able to get stopped. To me, it's starting to look more like an Edmonton, looking like a repeat of last year. To be honest with you, and I think that'll be really interesting because, let's face it, McDavid needs to get a cup. If he doesn't get a cup soon, he may not get one, because this team is kind of like they've been right there the last 4 years, and they just can't get over the hump. Last year they came out, they lost the first 3 games in a row to Florida. They won't lose the first 3 games to Florida again. I can promise you that. And
to be honest, I mean, you might think differently, but I also feel that there is not a dominant hockey team right now. It's not like, that there's like another club that's like, won 3 of the last 4. Like, like Tampa Bay was pretty dominant for a little bit.
They were with Kucherov when he was going.
Remember even back in like the late 90s, like the Detroit Red Wings.
Then you had Chicago come along with Kane.
And they won a few. I feel like it's wide open right now.
I do. I agree with you. I think that on both sides. I just think the West is playing. I think the West is playing better hockey right now than the East. But, I mean, you can't deny the way Florida plays the situational game that they play, and they're just on top of you. You can't get the puck out of the zone, and they just swallow you up. It's really pretty impressive. I don't particularly like that style of game, but it's very impressive to watch. Every line do it every time they're on the ice. I mean, they don't take a break.
They also have Bobrovsky as a last line of defense, which is pretty good.
He started off the tournament really slow, but he's really picked it up lately. You're right about that. And hey, that's what Hall of Fame goalies do. And he's kind of at the end of his career, so he's just trying to shine so that people remember him, what he did at the end of his career, not earlier in his career.
Right.
Hey, Chris Chana has a question here. Joe
Sakic,
the
greatest U.S. player ever, Joe Sakic?
Yeah.
I don't know. Joe Mullen had more goals, I believe. So, and he was from this parish. So, but no, you're probably right. The most famous of all the U.S. guys now, probably him. But U.S. hockey's never been more popular than it is right now.
I mean, there's a lot of good American-born players
right now. I mean, Austin Matthews, for God's sake.
Right.
I mean, I know he can't get Toronto over the hump, but nobody has been able to since 1967. And you know what? If Toronto can take some solace, if the U.S. hockey team can win a gold cup after gold medal after 92 years, maybe Toronto can after 55 years.
All right. There you go.
Good luck, Toronto. There's always next year.
All right. Hockey Jesus dropped a podcast earlier today on the latest games in the...
Oh, I have one more thing hockey related.
Go for it.
Yesterday was the 35th anniversary of the Pittsburgh Penguins' first cup when they beat the Minnesota North Stars in the game. I think they won game 6. It was like 8-0 or something like that. It was the biggest blowout in a finals series ending.
I think I remember that.
And Mario's first cup, the Pens' first cup ever, 35 years ago yesterday.
We were in Philly, right?
We were.
All right.
How come Brian Rust never gets on the Team USA?
I don't know. He's one of those snubs, you know?
Yeah. It seems like he should be on it.
And now that Sully's coaching the Rangers, guess what? No. Uh-oh. Do I hear music?
Yes, you do.
Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Oh, yeah.
Taste that honey sauce. Taste the goodness of the biscuit with that honey sauce.
Don't get that honey sauce on me. I don't know it tastes with my chicken wings. Do you not sing because you don't have a good voice, Chris?
No, I don't sing because I just don't want to steal your thunder.
He's producing.
That is the Trader Joe's snack time. It is here. Yes, everybody who watches and listens faithfully knows I work down at Trader Joe's in East Liberty in the city of Pittsburgh. And every week what I do is I try to bring home a little bit of food for us to sample. I call it Trader Joe's snack time, and we give you our honest opinion because Trader Joe's is not paying us for this, so it's not a sponsored segment. We just like to have fun with it. This week, we are sampling some snacks. One snack is something that is new. It is root beer float pieces.
Oh, interesting.
And the other snack is in celebration of Memorial Day, which we want to, of course, thank all of those who have given the greatest sacrifice.
What, red, white, and blue macaroons?
For our freedom.
We're looking at.
You got it.
Hey,
raspberry,
who knew?
raspberry,
macaroons,
vanilla, and blueberry
Wait, those are
macaroons.
French.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I
they're
guess we
from France.
we
but it's
liberated the French.
red, white, blue. No, they helped to liberate us.
Well,
they helped to liberate.
They gave us the Statue of Liberty. That's
Yeah.
American. Americana.
Yeah.
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 So what,
Lafayette came over.
We were just repaying the favor.
How did we liberate the French?
in
World War II. Yeah,
Like we
right.
won the war.
You mean all those people that died that were celebrating
my
today?
uncle who landed on the beach and then
Never
marched
mind.
into Paris. and
Look,
said,
I was wrong.
Get out of here, and then lost his life over in Denmark.
Here, stuff your pie
That
hole with one
guy.
of these and just move on. Okay, I'm embarrassed that I actually.
That's
said
okay.
that.
I mean, I understand what you meant by
All right.
the French helping us out in the revolution.
You just weren't paying attention.
I wasn't. Root beer flavored float pieces, vanilla sandwich cookie pieces with popping candy covered in a root beer flavored confectionery coating.
I'm pretty excited about
Right
these.
here.
I love root beer floats.
They actually smell really good.
I'm pretty excited.
I have not had either of these just for posterity's sake.
Hey, pass them over.
Whatever the hell that means.
Okay. I'm going to grab a couple.
Grab as many as you want. Are they good?
Well, I'm going to show them to the folks at home, but these don't look very good on camera.
Well,
These are not
they look
camera
like
worthy.
little goose poops.
They're okay.
They look like little goose poops.
Mm-hmm.
Not as bad as the chicken mole.
People at work still laugh about that. They're
Really?
like, he called it chicken mole. I'm like, yeah. And then he said, is that shit? So what do you think?
It tastes like a root beer float.
Well,
What's weird about it is
I like
it's a
it.
candy. Normally when you're eating a root beer float, it's kind of like creamy, but this you have to like crunch on.
Uh-huh.
That's what's weird about it. But the flavor, I love. I love the flavor.
the flavor is spot on,
Mhm.
but I would rather have it as a drink.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would rather it be like ice cream, so it kind of like
Mhm.
melt in your mouth.
Right.
There's a good one.
Mhm.
The crisp in it is what throws me off.
Okay.
Yeah, they just
the
missed,
flavor's
they missed the
excellent.
mark a little bit.
Mm.
It should have been an ice cream snack.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just trying to help you.
The
Trader Joe's.
flavor's really good though.
All right. Red raspberry, vanilla, and blueberry macarons.
Wow.
So I'm right. Red, white, and blue.
What actually is a macaroon?
We're definitely going to go on the sugar shock after this.
It is a French cookie.
Yeah. I'm going to have a feeling that I'm not going to like these very much.
I'm
I
not
don't
really. I'm not really a macaroon guy. So
There's a place in Pittsburgh called Gabby Jules. They
Mhm.
make the best macarons ever.
Yeah.
So,
Take one of each because they're
Take
raspberry,
one of
vanilla, and blueberry. I want to know.
all right.
am I not saying it right, or are you not saying it right? I say macaroons. You're like
No,
macarons.
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 Yeah, Macron.
Not like
Okay.
not like the prime minister
Macron.
or whatever the hell that guy is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Macron.
I'm going to go with the raspberry one since Marks went with the vanilla.
Chewy.
Doesn't do it for me. I mean, I'm a chocolate guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the flavor's good.
I like the raspberry.
The flavor's
On
good.
the inside.
The flavor is good on the raspberry, but the macaron or macaroon,
Mhm.
however you want to say it, not good.
It's kind of like
Not good.
I'd rather have a sugar cookie, which it's close to.
Well, you're supposed to thaw these for 30 minutes. That might be part of the problem.
Maybe that might be part
It
of
was
the
definitely
problem.
the thaw.
Mm-hmm.
But these are much too chewy.
That's why.
Just say average. Appreciate you spending some money though.
As usual. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to say no to them.
I like the vanilla one too.
I would say no. Now, like if I was, for example, on Survivor, and I was in the middle, if I was on the middle of an island,
This would have been like the best.
then it'll
thing
be
you've
like the
ever
best thing I ever
ate.
had.
Like, oh my god, this is the best food I've
So
ever
that's
had.
a situation where I wouldn't turn them down.
Mhm.
But just about every other situation, I probably would.
The blueberry one kind of pops. I like
The
that.
flavors are spot on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah.
the flavors are good. It's just
Okay.
the cookie itself
Yeah.
not good.
Use a
Alrighty.
little work. Lose a little work.
All righty.
Look, you got some work to do, Trader Joe's.
Yoho's son says, what if you blended it into a milkshake? I
Hey,
think
there
he's
you
talking
go.
about the root beer float pieces.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Excellent idea.
That's actually what I would do.
There you go.
With it.
Yeah.
And pat off track, Frederic Augusta Bartoli.
Right. Good old Bartoli.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
He's a liberator.
Oh. Is that what it is?
All right, that was Trader Joe's snack time. We're moving on here on the Sports Porch Black and Gold edition to what we're watching. I'm going to intro this right now.
Uh-oh.
Look, this is how we give back to you, okay? If you've watched our show for a long time, you know that we care deeply about you. We really do. And we're very grateful that you're here and you've spent the time to actually listen and watch. And this is how we're going to give you your time back. Because how many times is it late at night or you're having a date night with your significant other, as the Grand Swabini likes to call it, and you start scrolling through the multitude of streaming services that are out there, Netflix, Prime, Apple TV, Hulu, which I have finally added.
Ooh.
Yeah, we started watching some things on Hulu.
All right.
I like Hulu.
Paramount Plus, AMC Plus, Freebie, Hebe, Ubi, Tubi, Wooby, Booby, all of them. How many times do you spend at least the amount of time you've been watching this show, which is now close to 80 minutes, trying to find something good, only to figure out that, well, you've fallen asleep with the remote control next to you and drool down your face, and you've wasted the whole evening. So we're going to give you that time back just as a reward for being here with us during this time, because you deserve it. So we're going to tell you. We're going to tell you what we think you should watch, and we're also going to tell you what we think you shouldn't watch. That's how we give you that time back. That's how we give you that time back. So the only qualification is you have to have finished the season that you're currently watching to give a review, or the movie or the documentary. You have to watch the whole thing.
You have to meet the qualifications.
I'm gonna let Hockey Jesus go first, because we all know what's coming, and I just want to get this over.
Outwit, outplay, outlast.
That's right. It's Survivor 48, people. It's all over. Unfortunately, I couldn't give you updates as it was going along, so hopefully you were following. But now I'm going to give you what actually happened, mostly in the final, because you don't really care what happened throughout this season.
We don't.
It really came down to 3 people. Really, it came down to 4 people. It came down to Camilla. It came down to Joe. It came down to Eva. And it came down to Mitch. Okay.
I thought the whole time I'm going Mitch.
Mitch didn't make it.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Did Mitch die?
Son of a gun.
No, but Kyle was there with Joe and Eva at the end.
Ooh.
Okay. And Eva had to build fire to get to the end. So she made it to the final 3.
And that wasn't easy for her.
No, because she's actually autistic. The first autistic person on the show.
Really?
And there was a very loving scene between her and Joe, not sexual, Mr. Klein. It was very plutonic.
I wasn't even going to go there.
Well, when I say loving, I never know where your mind's going to go. I just want to cross that off the list right away. And really, once
again, it's my fault.
It really came down to Kyle's relationship with Camilla, even though she didn't make the end. The strategy they have gave Kyle the $1 million.
Woo.
So Kyle is the new $1 million winner of Survivor. Congratulations to Kyle. He actually, he's a deserving champion.
Oh, good.
Sometimes they give it to somebody because they feel sorry for them or they have a sob story and they just made it to the end. He actually played a really strategic game. Joe was a. How do I say this? He won all the competitions. He won like 5, and he tied the record for total amount of wins. But that wasn't enough. Wasn't good enough for him to take out Kyle. So congratulations to Kyle, winner of Survivor season 48.
Way to go, Kyle.
All right, great. Moving on.
You're so dismissive.
Schwaber is watching. Or has watched. These are 2 movies, right?
2 movies. First one is A Simple Favor, which you can watch on Netflix. The other one is Another Simple Favor, or Simple Favor 2, which you can watch on Prime.
What?
Yeah. Now,
why do they do that?
I have no idea.
They probably paid him more money.
Maybe, yeah. But I had seen A Simple Favor years ago, but felt that I really had to rewatch it so I could really be prepared for the second one. And just so you know, you have to do that. You can't watch the second one without watching the first one.
Right.
It's good. It's it's basically the story of like two women who are kind of very different from each other. They become friends, and then some nefarious things happen.
Between the two of them or to them? They're part of
maybe
it.
a little both, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so
Sex.
This is what
I hope so.
Maybe this will just be the best way to explain it so that you have a sense as to what's going on. So in the first one,
I'm already intrigued because it's Anna Kendrick and Blake.
Yes. In the first one, Blake Lively says to Anna Kendrick on the phone, "Can you do me a simple favor? Can you pick up my kid from school? Because I'm working late tonight."
Okay.
And then
Seems like it's simple request.
And then from that point, nobody hears from Blake Lively again.
Oh.
So Blake Lively's missing, or maybe she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just sort of takes off from there.
Oh, okay.
And then the second one takes off kind of from, the place where the first one ended. The first one is definitely a lot better than the second one. But
you
the
have
second
to
one,
watch them both.
yeah, but the second one is good. So I would say it's worth watching. Like I said, I'd probably give the first one out of 5 stars. I'd give the first one 4 stars. I'd give the second one 3.5.
Okay. So,
Yeah, so
both worthy.
It's a thumbs up. It's worth watching.
Because Blake Lively is missing, does she still play parts?
Oh, she's still in it the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was concerned that it
Yeah,
was going to be a one-woman show there.
No. Now, don't you hate that though when you some actor you really like is in a show or a movie and then they get killed?
Yeah,
Exactly.
and they highlight it.
Right.
They
They highlight
they're
it.
dead right away.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that is annoying. I totally agree.
Blake Lively or Anna Kendrick?
Oh, I'm a Blake girl.
Yeah, you're a Blake girl.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Blake girl. Actually, that's pretty hot.
I knew you'd like.
I'm an Anna Kendrick girl.
Okay.
All the way.
I feel like I'd have a better chance with Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, probably.
Because she's girl next door.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and we all know how
like
you
my
feel
beautiful wife.
Girl next
door.
Right.
Amy
Especially if you could sing a cappella.
Yep.
And we know Schwaber can.
Oh, we know he can.
Yep.
All right. So this week I did my selfish watching. I watched something for myself.
Congratulations.
Because the last couple of weeks I watched recommendations that you guys have given. But what happened is I forgot I was watching this. This is one of those deals where you watch something and you binge it and then it's Apple TV Plus. So it's like the next episode is available.
You gotta wait
Friday.
a week. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I forgot. But the funny thing is you forget when you're not that into it.
Right.
But what happened is a couple weeks go by and I went back on to watch something else and I saw there was a new episode. I was like, oh my God, I love that show. I forgot about it. So I actually ended up finishing it. This show is actually right up your alley, Schwab. You would probably like it too. It's a really good show.
Netflix.
It's not Apple TV Plus. It's called Dope Thief. Dope Thief. So there's Wagner Mara on the left, and I don't.
Who?
His name's Wagner Mara. He's been in a lot of things. You have to look it up. He's been in a lot of things. That's all I can say. The guy on the right, he's the star
looks
too.
like Marky Mark.
Whatever.
A little bit.
It doesn't matter. These two guys are childhood friends. It's set in Philadelphia.
All right.
Philly. Cool.
Childhood friends. They grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, so to speak.
You mean Kensington?
It
okay,
is North
just say
Philly.
North
It's North Philly. Yeah.
Just say Kensington.
They never refer to Kensington, but they say North Philly. So
we know what that means.
and what they end up doing is I'm going to give you the premise because this is what's really going to get you interested. They decide that they're both kind of down on their luck. They have a record. They decide to get together and start ripping off small-time drug dealers by posing as ATF agents.
Okay, all right.
That's
Okay.
actually
All right. That's a good storyline.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. And
I like the storyline.
they have somebody feeding them information like this is a good house to hit. Then they do a little recon and they go in and they they rob the guy of his drugs and his money, and then they have somebody they deliver it to. And there's the character development is really good, but suffice it to say, it wouldn't be a compelling series if one day they didn't hit the wrong house.
Right.
So, and then it just takes off in it's just a wild direction. Super compelling, really, really good. The character development from episode 1 is outstanding. So there's nobody, maybe the black dude's mom. It takes an episode or two for you to kind of get into her character,
figure out who she is.
But after like the second episode, you're like, okay, that's who she is. It's just who she is. But it's really good, really compelling.
Sounds good.
I'm getting Breaking Bad vibes,
and it's definitely as far as I can tell, I would say it's definitely a limited series, one season. I think it's 8 episodes. Pretty sure.
All right.
This is it. It's only 8 episodes.
Definitely worth a watch.
I think I'll watch it. It's much better than your typical, hey, the Lakers won the championship and Magic threw it to Kareem. Oh, I knew that.
I would never watch. I would never watch a Lakers documentary. I would never, ever subject you to that. I promise. I promise.
He says that now.
I am. Is it true that the Steelers documentary is coming out? Isn't there? I see this bullshit on. I don't believe anything on social media anymore.
Steelers documentary?
Yeah, I heard that the Netflix was doing a Steelers documentary.
You know what I did see was kind of fun. This had to have been filmed a long time ago, and it was just on YouTube. Peyton Manning reenacted the Immaculate Reception.
Did he?
Did you see this?
No.
And it must have been a few years ago because Franco was in it.
Oh, really?
He had Franco and Terry there with Frenchie Fuqua, and he had Phil Villapiano. Jack Tatum's dead, so he couldn't use him. But Villapiano was the linebacker behind the play, and he tried to reenact it. He couldn't do it.
Really?
He couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. They had guys do it. They just couldn't do it. And Villapiano said, "You know what that proves? It never happened."
There you go. And if you really want to live your life soundly, you will understand that this never happened either. The Sports Black and Gold every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, X. Thank you for being here. I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Please head on over to YouTube if you're not watching us there. Subscribe at the Sports Porch Podcast. Click that notification button so you know when we're live and you don't miss a thing. And you can always visit our website. That's right. We do have a website, theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com.
Theporcheslive.com.
You got it. For the technical director, which is me, for the Grand Swabini, which is him, and for Hockey Jesus,
watch your hockey.
I'm out.
Ciao, Blanc.
Jablonsk.